Kashimo is basically the smoke demon of Jujutsu Kaisen. We know that he is a sorcerer from over 400 years ago, and it seems like he was the strongest guy around. You know, the flashback scene that we saw from him was him just laying around a bunch of bodies, and he was looking for the strongest sorcerer there was. And it just so happens that when asked that question, Kenjaku said the strongest sorcerer he knew was Sukuna. And from that moment on, Kashimo knew that he wanted to challenge Sukuna. But challenging Sukuna isn't something you just go do in high hopes. We know that Sukuna has solidified himself in the top 2 strongest in the series, basically in a tier with himself and only Gojo. We know that since Sukuna has solidified himself in that top tier, now having the 10 Shadows technique by his side, Kashimo is giving himself some pretty big shoes to fill while challenging Sukuna. But the big thing and the X factor for this fight is, well, Kashimo's been keeping his Cursed Technique a secret. We know that the entire time he was fighting against Hikari, he didn't at any point in time use his Cursed Technique. All of those electricity and lightning attacks were all just a part of his cursed energy manipulation. And he was so strong with these abilities that Hikari even admitted that he guessed that Kashimo wasn't using his Cursed Technique. Because Kashimo's cursed energy manipulation on its own is strong enough to be a cursed technique, which makes you wonder if he is so strong without using it, how strong would Kashimo be if he had his cursed technique? But the even better question is, would it honestly even matter? Like, what if Kashimo did have a cool lightning-based cursed technique? Would it matter in a fight with Sukuna? Because we know that Sukuna now has the 10 Shadows technique, and that comes with Maharaga. Sukuna also has the most impressive domain expansion we have seen in the entire series. He can expand his domain over 200 meters and you can't run away. He basically chops everything down with dismantle and cleave. And the most impressive part about Sukuna's domain expansion is that he doesn't have an outer shell when he expands it, and it's called a truly divine technique. But even without domain expansions, we know that Sukuna is extremely fast. We saw that when Ryu tried to challenge him, he got beat in basically one panel. When Kashimo said, if that guy Gojo dies, don't stop me, I'm gonna go and fight Sukuna. Yeah, people were just mocking him so badly online. I mean, you can just see on the screen, there were plenty of people making jokes, roasting him, violating him for no reason. No matter what Kashimo's cursed technique is, and maybe it's not 80%, you know, though in my opinion that really is accurate if we look at the examples I just gave. And we know from back in Shibuya, Jogo says that Sukuna's strength is pure evil, that he's scared to even move when in front of Sukuna. So it seems like Ryu was being affected by this sort of side effect of Sukuna's cursed energy. It seemed as if Ryu was afraid to move, just like what Jogo said back in Shibuya. So you know, if Ryu was mental nerfed, then that is sort of an excuse. It is just something important to keep in mind if you're trying to say that because Sukuna blitzed Ryu so badly, that means that he would blitz Yuta that badly and so on. And the reason this whole Yuta Ryu and Sukuna speed thing is so important is because we know that Yuta is stated to be the second most powerful modern Jujutsu sorcerer behind Gojo. But there is also this promotional statement, and also Yuta says himself that when on a roll, Hikari is stronger than he is. And we know that he's talking about, you know, the side effects of Hikari's jackpot, where he gets unlimited curse energy and automatic RCT. But it is just important to keep in mind that Yuta says that Hikari is stronger than him when he's on a roll. And we know that Kashimo was able to keep up in terms of speed with Hikari in their fight. You can almost even argue that Kashimo was even faster than Hikari because he was able to get the better of Hikari in multiple instances, but Hikari's automatic reverse curse technique was there to save the day. And if you're like most people and think that you know Yuta and Hikari are relative, then Sukuna blitzing Ryu as bad as he did is actually a bad sign, because if Sukuna blitzed Ryu like that, then there's an argument that he would blitz Yuta like that, Hikari like that, and because Kashimo and Hikari are relative in speed, and that means that Sukuna would blitz Kashimo like that. Now you could look at it that way, or you could look at it the way I said earlier, where it seemed that Ryu was just nerfed so badly before going into the fight with Sukuna, or, you can believe that the whole Ryu, Yuta, Hikari, and Kashimo relative thing, that since they should all be around the same level in speed, that Sukuna would blitz Kojima the same way. But of course things just aren't that simple, because there is an argument that Ryu is mental nerfed, and we know that there is also an argument that Kojima might be a bit faster in combat than Hikari. Then that whole line from Sukuna, Ryu, all the way to Kojima is sort of messed up. Because we do know that throughout the fight with Hikari, Kojima did hit him with 3 lethal attacks. Now those are lightning attacks. The first one hit Hikari and took his arm off. The second one actually went to Hikari's head and was about to smush his brain, but Hikari thought on his feet and then blew all of the cursed energy out of his nose. And the third attack that would kill basically any other sorcerer was the one that put a hole in Hikari's side, but he popped a jackpot and grew it right back. But all 3 of those attacks, if they came across any other sorcerer, should just kill them or just put them in such a weakened state that they wouldn't be able to fight against him any longer. And that is like the X factor for Kashimo. We don't know the downside of the lightning, and what I mean by that is whenever there's an attack, it has a ceiling and a floor. Nalia's speed, when he came back as a cursed spirit, was supposed to be hyped up as this super fast movement. It was so overwhelming that Maki couldn't deal with it, that she had to go through this mental amp to sort of clear her mind so she could deal with Naya's speed. You might be thinking, well, wow, how fast was Kusanaya moving? Gege makes this whole thing where he's trying to make it seem like Kusanaya is moving extremely fast. This is some of the fastest things we've ever seen in Jujutsu Kaisen, and would you believe it, Naya was moving at only Mach 3. Now Mach 3 is only 2,301 miles per hour. That was the level of speed that was just so fast that it seemed unbelievable that Kusanaya was moving this fast. Now, do you know how fast the attack that Kashimo used was moving? Remember, the return stroke of lightning is 1/3 the speed of light, and the speed of light moves at 671 million miles per hour, so that means that Kashimo's attack was traveling at 223 million miles per hour. This means that Kashimo's attack was moving about 97,000 times faster than Kusanaya was, and Kusanaya was moving at some of the fastest speed we had seen somebody move in Jujutsu Kaisen. Yes, Kashimo's lightning is that fast, 97,000 times faster than Spirit Naya. Now when it comes down to how fast Sukuna is in relation to this speed, we know that after Maki got her awakening, her and Yuji fought against Sukuna, and you can make an argument that even though Sukuna's Cursed Technique uses was nerfed, his movement was fine, and that Maki was scaling to this level of movement. But either way, unless you think that Sukuna is 97,000 times faster than Cursed Spirit Naya, then he wouldn't be able to dodge any of Kashimo's lightning attacks. Now, if you do think Sukuna is that much faster than Naya, then go ahead. But it seems like Kashimo has speed locked down, at least when it comes to the speed of his techniques. The problem is building up the charge in the staff, because we know that when he used this attack, he needed to build up charge in the staff elsewhere, and whilst fighting Hikari, he built up the charge, then launched it at Hikari, and I feel like this sort of technique speed is honestly what the fight comes down to, because we all know that there's so many theories out there for what Kashimo's Cursed Technique is, but it honestly doesn't matter if he doesn't buy himself enough time in order to get the charge built up in the staff, so he can launch it at Sukuna. So as for whether I think that Kashimo stands a chance in a fight against Sukuna or not, let me just say that if his Cursed Technique buys him time to give him charge in his staff, then yeah, sure, I think Kashimo stands a chance against Sukuna. But if this secret Cursed Technique that Kashimo has doesn't buy him time, then no. I think Kashimo just pretty much gets washed. And with that being said, I want to thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. And if you enjoyed, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as I do post every couple days on different topics, you guys.